Welcome, this is Rain here, introducing this video with a voiceover since my intro clip is the first casualty of a ton of technological issues that I had for this vlog. To give a quick recap of where I am in terms of my writing, in my last vlog I finished the second draft of my novel nicknamed Project Diadem, a whimsigoth romantic fantasy. In this vlog, I prepare a new reverse outline to lead me into draft 3. I also crash out about it a lot, like every other second, so be prepared to hear me consider whether or not I should shelve this book at least 3 times. It is on the chattier side, and there are some audio issues, but it is what it is. This was probably the most difficult time that I've had in the entirety of working on this book in the past 2 years that I have been working on it. I really struggled, and I thought about not posting any of this, mostly because it's just pretty chaotic, but honestly, I think it was really worth it to document the struggle, for me personally at least, so I hope it's worth it for someone else to watch it who might be going through a similar process. And honestly, I think it gives a pretty realistic picture of what writing can be like a lot of the time. Started diving into another reverse outline based on everything that I've done so far and what I want to change going into the next draft, even though I haven't really rewritten the finale portion for the second draft. And honestly, I'm okay with that, and I think it's the right choice. I really truly believe that my writer's block that I've had for writing the finale compared to like how motivated I was for tearing up Act 2 this summer and redoing all that. I think my writer's block is just, it's always a simple, honestly, in the end, but it's just been a symptom of me, one, a lot of external factors, and that's what I was blaming mostly, and that is true. I have external factors that make me not want to work on that, but it's also a symptom of me knowing that there's so much wrong with the book that I don't think going straight into the finale would fix it. I think it would make it worse. I think, because like usually my way for keeping progress alive with this book has been to just keep moving forward, even when I realize that there are things that I want to change earlier on in like a stage of the book that I've already passed in that round, because that's what I did while drafting, and it worked then to get me to a place where I was capable of finishing a draft, finishing a story. Now it's at the point where if I've spent all summer tearing up Act 2 and rewriting it and then realizing major issues with the story like right at the end of Act 2, going straight into the finale, even with like that in mind, it wasn't gonna help. And I don't know why I thought it was, but restarting draft 2 is not an option. It's not really a thing, and it's not where I'm at, because I do think I've made a lot of progress in this draft. Basically, draft 3 has begun. By draft 3, I mean preparations for draft 3, because now I'm working on this reverse outline. I'm taking a lot of notes. And so anyways, I realized all that. But at the same time, I was using a Excel sheet from Gina Denny. She has it for free in her Patreon to kind of get an idea of where some of the pacing issues were in my book, which is crazy because I already knew where the issue was. In fact, I think my first video that I ever made, I talked about where the issue was. And the issue is my fun and game section, the promise of the premise area, the first half of Act 2, basically. Everything else, every other portion of the book, all the beats, are over the word count a little bit, like a few thousand words, or maybe a little bit more than that, right? In some sections, which does not concern me, to be honest, because I know that I can tighten scenes and I can tighten word choice, right? And also I have 3 main characters, 3 POV characters is what I mean, which means that I'm taking those word counts and I'm kind of dividing it by 3 in my mind when I think of where I am over in terms of words. When it gets to the fun and game section, that earlier part of Act 2 prior to like the ending of the midpoint is what I think about, is where I think it is, you know. It's over like 25 to 30,000 words over. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. And the problem was it wasn't like this when I started the draft, because the first draft ended around 110,000, 108 or something. But the issue is there were so many areas in revision where I was like, no, this needs to be further set up before things can happen the way they happen in the end. And so while I had prepared, all my preparations for this draft were to cut and combine. And then I was going to move on to character stuff. I was like, oh, combine these scenes. But I ended up just being like, no, there's so much more that needs to be set up. I was right in that, but I think that there was so much more that needed to be set up for storylines that don't necessarily serve the plot. basically I have too many subplots. And even if I didn't have too many subplots, I think the other issue that intersects with the too many subplots issue is that some of my main characters, one of them in particular, are too complicated. They're very complex, and it's very realistic. I think sometimes you have to make it a little bit more simpler than reality because it can be confusing for the reader. And to make it not confusing, you have to spend a lot of time kind of explaining these complexities and showing them, rather, which takes time. If you just explain it, if you just tell it, that's shorter, but it's not very good storytelling. So that is kind of the issue. The problem is that I share a lot of my work with my mother, who is a fantasy reader as well. She's not the best at giving like writer-oriented feedback, but she's really, really good at giving reader-oriented feedback. She's a good target, I think, for a general fantasy reading audience. Not necessarily all the fantasy that I like, which is important to know because that's how I have to keep that in mind when I get some feedback from her. All the stuff that she's read so far has been mostly Act 1 and a little bit into Act 2. And the way that that's worked is it's been my first draft, my second draft. By the time I'm ready to send it to her or my other critique partners, I go through again. And so they end up being around a draft 3. But I would consider it more surface level draft 3, not developmental draft 3, so I'm not making too many like developmental changes in that pass, but sometimes I am, so it's hard to describe. I don't know. Basically, I'm at a point with that little middle section that's so overwritten that I know I need to cut things, and she's always like, don't cut things. I don't like it when you cut stuff because then those are the chapters where I'm confused. Whatever, Mom. Okay. And so I was like, well, I have to cut things. She's like, well, just let me read it first. And I was like, finally, I was like, fine. You know what, Mom? You want to read these chapters so bad. They're really bad, but you want to read them? Fine. And so I went, she's read 17 chapters. Before this, she'd read 17 chapters to date. I went and I gave her 17 more. So that entire problematic section, I went through and I did not edit any of it. And I was like, here you go. It's all legible. Draft 2 is rather legible. So that's good. So I did go through it and I was like, well, this is actually, the sentences make sense. The characters are established. There's not random people popping up out of nowhere for the most part. And she did not hold back. And that's good. For the parts where like I knew there were problems, it was helpful to hear her be like, yeah, I hated that, or yeah, that sucked. My mom is not a mean person, but she is someone who I would get A's and she would read my English projects or something and she'd be like, you could do better. It's fine. But she's also sometimes she'll be like, oh wow, I really didn't like this. And it's something that like, I'm like, oh, that's kind of good. I didn't want you to like that. So it's okay. Like, it's okay. So not all of it is that bad, but at the same time, while I was waiting for her feedback, I was also kind of spiraling reading that section and just realizing how much of it in the end I thought made the book worse rather than better, in a way where I was like, I don't think fixing some of the problems here is good. I'm not sure if fixing these problems is good. I kind of feel like these problems are symptoms of a larger problem. That larger problem being that I think the book is too complex for what I might want from it. I kind of wanted to try querying it, right? And that's hard because I don't think it is a very queryable book. And I'm not saying that in a way to be like, oh, it's like too, intellectually superior for the market. It's not like complex in that way. I just mean that like, I think something that's simpler in structure might be an easier pitch, I think, for a debut author. It's 3 POVs across 2 timelines. And the settings ends up being 3 different main settings. Anyways, so I'm having trouble. I will say that like I am trying not to put too much stock in my mom's commentary, because again, her idea of things that are really bad, she'll be like, oh my god, this is really bad, and then she'll tell me something and it's something that's not that bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? She worried me a little bit there, and then she actually went through her feedback and I was like, okay, these are mostly things that I already was aware of, which is good, but also the problem is that I've become more concerned that those problems are unfixable. That's like the other issue. Have, I think, better ideas that are more simple and a higher concept and easier to pitch and potentially easier to write and revise that I could work on. And I'm not able to work on them and this at the same time because I can't. I work full time I'm technically supposed to be doing stuff for my PhD right now. Am I? No, I'm not. I'm putting it off to work on the book instead, basically. Even though I should be. I should be working on PhD stuff literally right now, but it's fine. I can really only work on one at a time. And when I take breaks, I can't use that break time to work on something else because my mind needs the break. And honestly, my breaks are usually centered around when I'm sick. So anyways, it's hard. I've had a lot of like serious thoughts about giving up on this book or shelving it for like a time, which I've never, in the 2 years I've been working on it, I've never felt that way before. So it's a bit odd, but I don't know. I think a lot of it is like knowing that I have a certain vision for it and that I think is good. And I don't think that I'm at that vision. And if I was working towards making the book better until it got to that vision, that's one thing. But this week has been a lot of ideas related to thinking that maybe the vision itself is wrong. Or not wrong for the book that I want to write, but wrong for the book that I would like to query. But then part of me is like, well, that's super naive, right? I don't want to be blind to the fact that these problems can just potentially be answered simply by I'm not as good of a writer yet. A better writer would be able to meet that vision and make it queryable. Right. And I do believe that. I'm not like, that doesn't make me insecure or anything. I know I have a lot to improve on writing wise, storytelling wise, and craft wise. So that doesn't like make me feel weird to say that. I don't want that to be the real issue, and therefore I give up or I shelve it thinking that it's a different issue when the real issue is that I just need to get better or potentially wait until I am better. And I don't know that that's true. I don't know that being a better writer would fix the problems in this book. I think but I don't know, I'm really dedicated to revising it. I said I was going to clean my office and make it cozy. I didn't do that. Instead, I did the PhD thing that I was procrastinating, which was an application I needed to fill out for something, which had issues because they always have issues. So anything that I have to do for that always has some issue. It's fine. Now I am sitting outside because I, believe it or not, am someone with allergies and less allergic outside than I am in my house. What I'm doing now is I am, again, like I said, going through these problematic chapters and just kind of reminding myself again of things that I need to get rid of that don't need to be subplots anymore or don't serve the plots at least. I do think that I'm starting to like beat, I don't know what the expression is. I feel like I am starting to like beat it. Is it beat a dead horse? Like I've read at this point this week, within the past week, I've read the section of pages, like 17 chapters, like 3 times. This might be my 4th time going through it. I've even made notes, like on the full section at least one other time. So, but I'm just, again, now that I've thought more on it, trying to go through and make some notes again and think about it. But at some point, I need to move from this and move on to creating a plan. Something else my mom told me, again, my mom is a very critical person when it comes to certain things, so just keep that in mind. She does not mean anything by it. It is just who she is. She told me that next time I need to use an outline. And it's funny because I think on here I've said that I am like a discovery writer. I'm a pantser-ish, but and that I, don't rely heavily on an outline. I might have even said that I don't use an outline, but that is incorrect. And that is what I told my mom because the truth is, if you look at all the stuff that I have in terms of like prep for this book over the past 2 years, it's less than 2 years. I literally showed her 7 different outlines, 4 that I had during the first draft, and that's because I write an outline that's not super detailed at first. And then I write, things change and become more detailed as I'm writing. And I add that in. And then I change the outline, basically, based on what I learn while I'm writing. And so I had 4 iterations by the time I was done of an outline. And the last one was the most specific, was chapter by chapter. And then I finished the first draft with that outline. Again, I'm sure if I went and looked at the last few chapters listed on that outline, that it'd be vastly different from what I actually wrote. That's where the discovery part comes in. I don't stick to the details. Even the big pieces are liable to move if I find out something makes much more sense while I'm writing. And I don't know if that actually makes me a discovery writer or a plotter. I feel like I am not someone who knows all the details, and in fact I am never married to any details really. So I feel like that makes me not a plotter because I end up feeling like I don't actually know what's happening or know the ending when I'm drafting. And I feel like that's something the discovery writers say. So I don't know where I fall there. But I did go ahead and show my mom, no, here are those 4 outlines for the first draft, the reverse outline, and then the like short and concise outline, reverse outline for the second draft, and then the one that I've already started on for this one that I have to go finish now, and I'm changing things.
And then she was like, okay, I take it back. I didn't need her to take it back. I just needed someone to appreciate all the work I've done. And she was like, whatever, girl. Sucks to be in your head right now. And I said, yeah, it does. Yeah, so I'm going to keep working on this. And then after I'm done reading through these pages another time, I'm going to go back to the verse outline that I started a little bit ago, a few days ago, a week ago. And I'm going to start making a plan that I'm going to stick to. I think this time I need to send the plan to some other people beforehand. My mom wants it. Who knows if she gets it? We'll see. Thing is, I'm protecting her from some spoilers. She still doesn't know. She doesn't know how the book ends. And I'm protecting her from that because I do want her honest reaction when it wraps up. My critique partners are in a similar position, but if I have to reveal certain things to them before they get to read it naturally, that's fine. It's how it's supposed to be. Or maybe I'll talk it through with my husband because he does know everything that's happened. Because otherwise, I'd just be talking to myself all the time, which is what I'm doing out here. PhD stuff instead of writing stuff, and I really don't want to, but that's what we're doing right now. We're not writing, we're working on the PhD. I need to make dinner. I should actually be working on this, but I need to work on it. So I'm just gonna hang out here until the sun goes down and take some more notes on changes, or keep going through this chunk basically. And then, because I've been also just like making notes of things that I know I want to change already. But part of me still feels like I should I should shelve the book. But I don't want that to be out of a place of not wanting to try harder, right? I don't want it to be because I'm afraid to try harder or because I'm misunderstanding these flaws as being fatal and not as being addressable, right? And I don't think I do feel like they're fatal, but I also am wondering if the conceptualization of fixing this is so hard because of innate issues, if that makes sense. But I don't want to give up because I'm uninformed about that or because I'm giving up, right? I only want to do it if it's like truly the best way forward in my writing journey. Like emotionally, am I attached to the story? Yeah, but like if I could be presented with an argument that like it's just not the right book anymore, then I think I could walk away from it and be fine. Like I never thought this was going to be the book that I was going to query. Well, it's not true. I knew it was more likely to be the one that I queried than the last one that I was writing. I knew that one, that I was never going to query that or try for traditional publishing. And then this one, I was like, oh, okay, I could see that. I just don't think it's very good for querying and for a debut author because I'm not sure my skills are up to the vision. But I don't know, it's complicated. Okay, I'm gonna stop yapping about it and use the few minutes I have left. actually been getting a lot done since I last talked to you face to face. I finished a little while ago going through this whole stack, and I've just been focusing on figuring out in like a Word doc, in my reverse outline Word document, how I want things to change. And I've got a lot of good ideas. I think I'm trying to cut down on chapters while also lengthening the chapters that I have that are moving on the shorter side. Like before, I aimed for like 1,500 to 2,000 words as chapters, but I think last chapters around 3,000 words actually works a little bit better pacing wise, with like some exceptions here and there. It's hard though, because I do like a lot of the ones that are like more 1,500 words, and like something kind of happens at the end of those 1,500 words, and then you continue the scene on in the next chapter. It's nice to have those every once in a while, but I think maybe I did that a little too much. It doesn't really matter. It's not like the main issue, to be honest. The main issue is just that there's too much, and I have to cut a lot, and so I'm trying to make it make sense though, and so for it to make sense, I have to introduce new elements, and so there's the concern that introducing these new elements to make the cuts make sense will end up still bringing me in like too many more new words. And that's, I think, probably why I don't prefer to spend so much time outlining, because I feel like you can outline a lot and I still won't have a feel of like if it's actually going to work, or if it's going to like do the opposite of what I'm intending to do, or just be wrong for the structure, until I'm actually like in scene. This is like my third draft now, so it's a little bit easier. I have a little bit of a better idea of like what certain changes are going to mean, but it's hard. It's a little tough, and I'm still not quite sure that this is going to bring down the word count enough. I don't know. We'll see. The problem is that it's 3 POVs. I'm trying to hit all the beats for 3 POVs. There's only a handful of times when the POVs can overlap, so that these important beats can be like met together. Otherwise, a lot of it has to happen separately. At least the way the story is fundamentally imagined and structured. To change it so that isn't the case would be a different story, basically. So yeah, I worked a lot today. Earlier, it's Saturday, I went to a coffee shop. I think I have some footage of my tea, but I don't think I have any footage of me writing. So I got a lot done reverse outline wise. I'm gonna try and do some more now. I also got a lot done yesterday. I went to Barnes & Noble and wrote for like 2 hours, and then I wrote at home for like another hour, and then today was like 3 hours. Gonna do some more now. I really just want to have a good plan figured out. I think what I'm gonna do now is go through what I have so far, because I think I have everything mapped out, but I know there are parts where I'm missing things that I came up with when I was doing my read through, so I'm gonna go back through my notes and my outline kind of at the same time and see what I'm missing. And I kind of also think I need to go and look at my critique partner's notes from some of these chapters where it's been like ages since they reviewed it, and those notes are like from like months ago, so I want to make sure that I'm not missing any really good feedback. But it's just like another layer of things that I need to go through and make sure. This year, I became a Luxembourg citizen through documenting my ancestral lineage, and so in October, I took a quick trip, a 30-hour trip basically, to DC, where my only plans were to work on my outline while traveling, go to the Luxembourg embassy for my passport appointment, and walk around DC and meet up with a friend. I went to DC for college, so the city holds a special place in my heart. The clip I have explaining my plans here got messed up, but basically this is the first day. I landed, worked on my book at a cafe, checked into my hotel and got dressed up for passport photos at CVS, and then planned to walk around DC and meet my friend for dinner. It was a Sunday, and my passport appointment was at the embassy Monday morning, and my flight home was Monday evening. Anyone interested in hearing more about the Luxembourg citizenship process, especially if you have Luxembourg heritage or are Midwestern, please hit me up. It's so interesting. It took over all of my 2025, honestly. I'm recording this voiceover in January, and it's honestly basically a year since I found out that I was eligible for this. There's a really good chance I'll never stop talking about it. Alright, what do we think, guys? Looking better? A little bit. I think so. The lighting helps. It's gonna be too warm for this outside, but I will use for the photo, and if it's chilly in the restaurant later tonight, wherever we end up going, or if I go to a cold cafe, and then otherwise I will wear it around my
waist so that it's not weighing me down in my tote bag, and I'm using my Y'all Fest tote bag, so perfect for my computer, my notebooks, my wallet and stuff. Yeah, it'll do. All right, so this is the fit. It's a dress. I don't know if you can tell. Doesn't really matter because you can only like see this in the passport, but it's something. I did not get a second riding session done in between me leaving here and going to see my friend, because instead I spent most of the time walking from where I am in DuPont Circle through Adams Morgan, eventually stopping around Woodley Park and taking the train up to Cleveland Park to see my friend and go out for dinner. Got some good Mexican food, so it was great. So I didn't get time to do another riding session in between them, but I did do, well, after me and my friend were done, she's got an early day tomorrow. So we kind of ended a little bit earlier for the night, and I don't have to work tomorrow. My appointment is like kind of it's like at 11, so it's like later. So there's a bar right underneath or right next to this kind of like hotel apartment place that I'm staying at. So I went there and got a nice little cocktail and worked a little bit more on this reverse outline, bringing a lot of the notes that I have across my phone and my computer and my notebook, and just kind of like making sure that they're in this outline so that I'm taking them into account. My passport photos for my Luxembourg passport went well, I think. The guy at CVS was so nice and sweet. He kept being like, oh, your sweater isn't like symmetrical, oh, you should like fix your hair. They're like, you know, totally thankful for that, man. So, and then he had to do it a few times because it was not like meeting the requirements, and he has like a system that tells him, so that was nice. Bless that man. He didn't have scissors, so hopefully that is fine. Tomorrow for my appointment, we'll see. It's like 8:40 now. I think I'm gonna take a shower and walking around all day. I got like 12,000 steps, maybe 13,000 steps in, so I'm feeling good about that. Gonna take a shower, and then I think I might stay up a little bit longer, hang out in this nice cozy bed, work on my book a little bit more. All right, well, get ready to see this outfit again tomorrow because I only packed one outfit. So tired after I got out of my shower, and it had been a long day. I'd been done a lot of walking. I maybe was overly ambitious about plans for writing, so I went to sleep. This morning though, I was able to go and do my appointment at the Luxembourg embassy. That's over with now. I had a really good time. I should get my passport in about a month, so that was nice. And now I'm trying to do work at a coffee shop. I was working on the reverse outline a little bit, but now I kind of want to let myself work on my outline for my other book that I want to write, that I've written some parts of, but need to kind of like start over a little bit and revisit it from scratch. I really want to like use November and December to like fully send on like first drafting that. Kind of want to give myself permission to do that, so we'll see. not really recorded in a while. I got extremely paralyzed at the thought of beginning Act 2 because, again, I had issues. I was like, crap, I just know my outline's not going to work. My reverse outline, rather. Not so much that it wasn't going to work, but I was like, a lot of these changes I've made or planned to make is with the idea of needing to cut down a lot in this first half of Act 2. And I could just tell looking at it, I was like, there are some things here that are not fixing the problem. I'm going to end up writing still over, and I'm going to have to do all this rewriting, and it's still going to be too much, and still going to be not understanding, I guess, where I need to make cuts and how I need to reform and completely restructure this part of the story so that I could like make these cuts. Just like one of those things where like every time you have a change to make something stronger at the beginning, there's just like a domino effect, and to make things stronger in the beginning, sometimes you need to add things that then require adding things later, but you're also trying to cut, right? So especially anyway, so I was just like freaking out. I honestly had a huge crash out over it. I was trying to get this section from 21 chapters is what it was in my second draft, which was crazy, way too much in that section. And so my plan for revision 3 involved 16 chapters, and I was looking at it, I was like, that is too much. Honestly, it should be like 11 or 10. I got it to a planned 12 chapters, and I think that's what I'm going to proceed with. In fact, I kind of like put a pause on that project for a while. I was like, literally like, maybe this is I was like, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is too complex of a story for me. Not like, oh, it's so complex, but like maybe like my skill level doesn't match the idea yet, and like it's not something that I should like focus on, especially if it's something that I want to query. I just wasn't sure if it's the right book to query. I'm still not sure it's the right book to query. There's 3 POVs, a dual timeline, and I'm trying, anyways, and it's fantasy. It's like a whole thing. There is a little complexity to it. How much of that is self-imposed, I don't know. But I had this critique meeting coming up with my critique group, and we had put a pause on sharing chapters, and we were all doing like little PowerPoint parties of our plots and like issues that we were like concerned about. We wanted to go through our plots and like present them in its entirety, and I ended up being the last person to go. So we had 2 people who went 1 week, and then like a month later I was with another person, and I ended up like, it was during this freak out that I was having, and I was like, I just need to like make a decision just for this PowerPoint. Like I don't have to stick with it. Like I just want to, participate. All these things that I was really concerned about plot wise, like all these choices and decisions and arcs, at this point I had thought about it so much that I was still concerned about these things, but I had at this point really good reasoning for why I was choosing them, even if I was concerned about it, that like I ended up answering a lot of my own questions and being like, no, this can work. And even better, they were like, yeah, this can work, and they were really excited about certain plot choices that I was so concerned about, and they had great ideas for things that I like did think I needed to sell a little bit more. And so it really gave me my like inspiration, my motivation back to like work on this book. Literally thinking maybe I need to shelve it and work on my other like work in progress that I need to finish drafting. And I was like, I love this book so much. I just, I don't want to waste my time if it's one of those things where it's like, it's not fixable, right? But I also don't want to quit if the problem is that like I'm taking the easy way out and I'm not like working hard enough, but it's hard to know which is the case. I think this video began when I was planning my revision plan for draft 3 using this reverse outline, right? I think that's when this began. I had to go back to the drawing board, had to redo my like revision plan, and still wasn't very happy with it. I crashed out, and then I had this PowerPoint party, and I feel a lot differently now. I'm gonna go to the coffee shop today, and I'm gonna go through my outline one more time, and I might even start like working on Act 2. Mainly, I just want to go back to working in it. I want to see how I feel, and if I am really ready to keep progressing in draft 3, and then if that's the case, that'll be the end of this weird video. Okay, it's 2:11. I think I got here around noon or 12:30, and I finished kind of like going through my entire outline again, and just reverse outline, and just making sure that things matched my new perspective since my like meeting with my writing group. I'm gonna go to Panera, get some salad, because they don't have food for me here at this cafe. I don't think I'll actually be able to like do any scene writing, and that's fine. I think it's a good way to close out the video anyways, is just like finalizing my plans for this revision.